Welcome back, Algebra 2. We're in Lesson 108. We understand that when we have the difference of two squares, that we don't have to do any kind of mathematical procedure in order to factor that. All we have to do is say x plus y and x minus y. We know that that is the factored format of x squared minus y squared. We've done it, we've proven it over and over again in this course this year. The same thing can be said for when two things are cubed, when we have the sum or the difference of two cubes. So let's first look at the sum of two cubes. So if I have a cubed plus b cubed, and I divide that by a plus b because they're both positive, I'm going to say a into a cubed is going to give me a squared. A squared times a is a cubed. A squared times b, that's plus a squared b, right? Change the sign. These cancel, so that's negative a squared b. A squared times a squared, we can't do that. So what times a gives us a squared? That's going to be a. And it's going to have to be AB. It's going to be a negative AB. Negative AB times A is going to give us a negative A squared B. And a negative AB times B is going to give us a negative AB squared. So now we change the signs. This cancels, and we have AB squared. And now that we're in the B's, we can bring down our B cubed. All right, so because we know the next thing we multiply by is going to be a b by itself. So it's going to be a positive b because b times a is going to be b squared actually. B squared times a is going to give us an ab squared. And b squared times b is going to give us a positive b cubed. We change the signs. Both of these cancel and we have no remainder. So we know that a cubed plus b cubed, sorry, that's a 3. That's a cubed plus b cubed equals a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. That is form 1 for positive a cubed plus b cubed. So let's look at the negative when we have a cubed minus b cubed and see what form that takes. So a minus b, we're using that to divide. Let's do a cubed minus b cubed. So a into a cubed is going to give us a squared. A squared times a is a cubed. A squared times negative b is a negative a squared b. Change the sign, cancels. A squared b. So this is going to be a positive ab times a. That's going to be a squared b. And then that is going to be minus ab squared. So we change the signs. This cancels, and we have ab squared. And we can go ahead and bring down our negative b3 because we know the next thing we're going to calculate, it's going to be a negative b squared times a, that's going to be a positive b, sorry about that. B squared times a is going to be ab squared. Positive b squared times b is going to be a negative b3. So that is we're going to change the sign, and we are going to cancel, and we have no remainder. So it tells us the second form, a cubed minus b cubed, is going to be equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So you see the only difference here is when you have the a cubed plus the b cubed, right? If it's plus, then you're going to have a minus ab. for your middle term. It's going to be a negative middle term. But if you have a subtraction, a difference of two squares, a3 minus b3, then you're going to have a negative or a minus in your first binomial, and it's going to be that second term in the binomial, and everything else will be positive. Okay? So those are the two forms that we want to remember, that we want to apply when we see these difference of these cubes. So let's look at 108.1 and see if we can apply these. So we need to factor x cubed y cubed minus p3. So sometimes it helps so that we don't confuse the variables to think about these as first thing and second thing. So we'll say the first thing cubed minus the second thing cubed is equal to the first thing plus the second thing, the first thing squared minus the first times the second plus the second squared. And the second form is going to be the first thing, that was plus. The first thing cubed minus the second thing cubed is equal to the first minus the second times the first squared plus the first times the second plus the second squared. Right? It's always the first and the second squared times each other in the middle. If it's plus, it's going to be minus here. If it's minus, it's going to be plus here. All right, so let's look at it in those terms. So this is the first thing. So this is a minus, so we're going to use form 2. So we're going to say x, y, both of them cubed, minus p3 is going to be the second form. So we are going to write it in the second form. We're going to say x cubed y cubed minus p cubed is equal to the first thing, which is xy, minus the second thing, which is p, times the first thing squared, which is x squared y squared, plus the first times the second, so xyp, plus the second squared, p squared. Without having to do any division or any math, we can see how this lines up, right? All right, so let's do another one. Let's do 108.2. All right, so let's see. What does that say? Sorry, I bumped something. All right, here we have 8m cubed y to the 6 plus x cubed. We recognize this as the sum of two cubes, so we can factor some things out to start with. So let's factor out these cubes here. So we have 2m squared, actually, let me take that out. It's going to be 2my squared. This times itself 3 times is a perfect cube. So we can just take it and cube it, which then gives us 2 cubes that are a sum. So the sum of 2 cubes. So the sum of 2 cubes is going to be the first form. So that's what we're going to write it as. We're going to write it as the sum of the 2 cubes is equal to the first thing, which is 2my squared, plus the second thing, which is x, times the first thing squared. So that would be the square of this would be 4m squared y to the 4th minus the first and the second multiplied by each other. So that would be minus 2my squared x plus the second thing squared. So x squared. All right. So that is the answer to 108.2. Let's see if we can do one more. Let's do 108.3. These are really, once you figure out the format, you're going to want to put these in your notebook on the back cover and call it the sum and difference format of two cubes. All right, you're going to want to put all of that in there so that you don't have to actually do that long division problem. You can just put it in the right format and be done with it. So this one is a to the 12th plus b to the 12th. So we can turn that into cubes because we know that we can divide, right, and multiply our factors or our exponents the same way we do factors. So we could say a to the 4th cubed plus b to the 4th cubed. So there's our two cubes. This is the sum of two cubes, so we'll use the first format, right? And that's going to equal the first thing plus the second thing, so a4 plus b4. And then we have the first thing squared, so it's going to be a to the 8th minus a to the 4th, b to the 4th, plus b to the 8th. And that's it. That is the answer. Pretty straightforward when you think about it, all right? You're just substituting in these values here into this format here. That's all you're doing. All right, and that is all we have for lesson 108. I'll see you in lesson 109.